The field includes 24 teams, 11 autos, 13 at-larges. The top 8 seeded teams get a first-round bye. For teams playing in the first round, those games will be regionalized to limit travel. All the first, second-round games can be found on ESPN+. All right, it is time to unveil the top 4 seeds. Your number 1 overall seed, the South Dakota State Jackrabbits, Rini.
Yeah, no surprise there. Head coach John Stiegelmeier, his unit's playing great this season. Tops in almost every defensive category in the country. Plus 12 turnover ratio, exactly where you want to be. No surprise there, them getting the number 1 seed.
Lost early to Iowa, reeled off 10 consecutive wins. How about the number 2 overall seed, the Sacramento State Hornets, Jay?
Let's take it to the west side. The boys out of California are representing for the West Coast. Head coach Troy Taylor is a former quarterback great, likes to throw it, but his football team likes to run it. They rush for over 250 yards per game, average 43 points.
First ever perfect regular season for the Hornets, 16-0 in league play the last 2 years. How about the number 3 national seed? Oh, I remember those guys. Yeah. North Dakota State.
A program that's always used to being in this tournament. Matt Entz has them playing well. Again, really good defensive categories across the board. Quarterback Cam Miller, 1,500 yards passing, 10 TDs, and by the way, 11 rushing TDs to go with that.
Just a remarkable season, 13th consecutive appearance for the 9-time national champs. And the number 4 seed, they win the Brawl of the Wild, and they get the call to the 4th seed.
The Bobcats of Montana State. Head coach Brent Vigen knows he has a squad that's going to be a tough out for anybody undefeated in conference play. They've got a 2-headed monster at quarterback with Malott and Chambers. The Bobcats are the real deal.
Okay, those are your top 4 seeds. Again, they are guaranteed to host at least the first couple of games if they continue to win up until the finals. Any qualms here? Anything that you noticed? You said, you know what? That could have gone either way.
I think that, North Dakota State is not the North Dakota State of old. I'm a little bit surprised they got a number 3 national seed there, showing some respect for previous years.
Because that I thought William and Mary would have gotten a top 4. Slid in there at maybe that 3 or 4 spot. They did not.
When we think about, like at the FBS level, we think about Georgia and the gap. What kind of gap is there between South Dakota State, this number 1 overall seed, and maybe the rest of the field, the rest of the top 8?
Between 1, 2, and 3, not much room for error at all. South Dakota State took care of business on the field. They beat North Dakota State earlier this year, but it's really jumbled up there. I can see any one of those 4 teams coming out.
And what team is healthy, right? All these teams have been through a rigorous season, getting after it. What team is healthy, ready to go, and what team gels now?
Well, think about it for South Dakota State as well. Didn't play this past weekend.
Yeah.
They're going to get a bye. It's 20 days going to go.
So that could be good or bad, right? Because you're going to rest. That's great. But, boy, if you had any mojo or any rhythm going, you don't want to lose that either. So that's an interesting dynamic.
That's why you can't win. I mean, you can't win because the coaches say we had too much time off and we're rusty, but then they're going to say, oh, we got healthy. So
I think they would take the rest, though, at the end of the season, right? Heal up.
They played a lot, consecutive Saturdays for a couple of months. So there they are. Those are your top 4 seeds. Let's go to the number 5 overall seed. Oh, there's William and Mary, the Tribe, and head coach Mike London, Jay.
Fantastic season for them. First time ever in school history, they go 10-1. They were 6-0 on the road. They have a 1,000-yard rusher, an experienced coach, William and Mary, representing the CAA conference to the fullest.
Tied for first with New Hampshire in the league, got the auto bid, that modified point differential system. Again, these tiebreakers, you go down the ledger, there they are. How about a 10-win season for William and Mary? Head coach Mike London won the Natty with Richmond in 2008. How about the number 6 overall seed, the Samford Bulldogs out of the SoCon, Rini?
Chris Hatcher, this team is playing really well. A ton of weapons for quarterback Michael Hires. Running backs everywhere, wide receivers everywhere. He's a 3,300-yard passer, 35 TDs. They're going to put a lot of points up.
So will Incarnate Word. The Cardinals out of San Antonio.
The most intriguing team. America wants to see what's up with this team. Will the offense get it done? They average 51 points a game. They're pass happy down there for head coach G.J. Kinney, but they score 50 points a game, and Lindsey Scott, their quarterback, is a stud at that position.
50 touchdowns for Lindsey Scott. How about the number 8 overall seed? Holy Cross, it's Bob Chesney's club.
Crusaders, they're happy in Worcester right now. I mean, this is Bob Chesney's best team. Matthew Saluka, the quarterback, coming in on a 1,000-yard rushing season, 2,300-yard passing season. There you see a little Hail Mary to beat Buffalo earlier in the year. That's a great seed for Holy Cross.
Luka to Coker, that was a great finish there. And here are your top 8 seeds. Again, top 8 guaranteed at least one home game. top 4, guaranteed at least 2 if you win. Again, we don't know who they're playing. We'll figure that out here in just a moment. All right. Top 8 national seeds, Jay, are done. Those are the ones, those are the prime spots that you want. Anyone that made your eyebrows raise a little bit?
I think when you talk about big picture for a conference, the fact that you got a team from, the Southland Conference has a national seed to go along with the Patriot League. So nobody really saw that coming. These aren't the traditional powerhouse conferences that you're used to seeing. But the fact that they got to host, give it up to the selection committee, showing a little bit of diversity in their national seed selection.
And it's hard for the selection committee because we talk about head-to-head all the time, and it's easy to look at head-to-head in conference and then common opponents. You just don't get a lot of it in the FCS game, right? Because everybody's so spread out. So it's a really hard for the selection committee, but I think they did a good job with those 8 seeds.
You got Holy Cross, first 11-0 season in 31 years. Mark Duffner did a great job in years past. Bob Chesney now doing it there. Of those 5 through 8, I know we'll get some dark horse teams later and we'll talk more, make some picks, but is there one that stands out, maybe that has the momentum rolling a little bit, one that could make life challenging for a top 4?
I want to see what's up with Samford. Sanford's not a traditional team that you always talk about there, so I want to see what they've got in line. The Bulldogs down there out of the Birmingham area. Let's see if they're ready to play with the big boys.
Has been
Let's see if they're ready to play with the big boys now.
Yeah. To me, undoubtedly, it's incarnate word. G.J. Kinney, I think he's a great coach. It's going to be really hard for them to keep him there, number 1. Lindsey Scott Jr., a name, 50 touchdowns on the year. That's not a misprint. 50 touchdowns. They're one that scares me because they can score so many points and quickly.
We're scheduled to talk to his head coach, G.J. Kinney, a little bit later on in this selection show. Again, this could be anybody's. Here, this is the bracket. Going to feature 24 teams, and that's the hardware. North Dakota State captured it last year. Will they win number 10 this year, or is it somebody else's turn? It's time to start unveiling the left side, the top part of this bracket. Again, winner of this first matchup will take on the number 1 overall seed, South Dakota State. And St. Francis Red Flash out of the NEC, second playoff appearance, defeated Merrimack for the outright crowd. They will face in the first round. Oh, a trip to Delaware. Delaware was one of those teams out of the Colonial. You didn't know whether they'd get in or not.
Yeah, that noise you heard was the exhale from Delaware, right? They are in, and I thought they would be. This is an interesting matchup. St. Francis, coached by Chris Villarreal, former offensive lineman in the NFL 11 seasons. You know he brings that toughness to his unit. Quarterback Cole Doyle, 21 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And then Delaware, one of the top scoring defenses in the country, holding teams about 15 points a game. And, oh, by the way, they have a linebacker by the name of Johnny Buchanan. Kid's a stud, 120 tackles on the year. He's going to be playing on Sundays.
Lost 3 of 4 games, including back-to-back against Richmond and Villanova.
But they're in.
But still gets in, and they will host a first-round game. Fordham is heading on the road. They're in out of the Patriot League. Joe Conlon's Rams, record of 9-2. Tim DeMorat leads the FCS in passing yards entering the weekend. They are at New Hampshire. The Wildcats get in out of the Colonial, Jay.
New Hampshire is in. They'll be hosting this game. Head coach Ricky Santos righted the ship. They got off to a slow start, but had great conference play. They ran through the conference pretty easy. But then talk about Fordham. They're coming in there with an offense that leads the country. Will the offense travel over 600 yards total offense per game? You talked about DeMorat. Hey, if you're New Hampshire, you got a tough draw at home.
And Ricky Santos, by the way, a New Hampshire legend as a quarterback.
Tate Award winner.
Absolutely.
New Hampshire tied with William & Mary for that conference crown, and they will host Fordham. All right, speaking of William & Mary, they'll await the winner of this one. How about the win for Gardner-Webb yesterday? Took down North Carolina A&T in the de facto Big South Championship game. It's their first FCS playoff appearance and their first conference crown in 19 years. 33-year-old head coach Trey Lamb will take his club to Eastern Kentucky. The Colonels, they're heading to Richmond. The Colonels making their 22nd playoff appearance in the ASUN.
That's an interesting matchup. The running Bulldogs, and as you said, flying high, a lot of momentum off the big win over North Carolina A&T. So to me, that bodes well for them. You talked about Trey Lamb, really good young coach. Their quarterback, Bailey Fisher, 2,300 yards passing, 17 TDs. And then Eastern Kentucky, you talked about it out of the ASUN, Coach Walt Wells. Their quarterback, partner Parker McKinney, 3,000-yard passer, 23 T, 7 interceptions. To me, this is a toss-up. This is a good game.
He had 5 touchdown passes yesterday in the win against Kennesaw State. So Roy Kidd Stadium is going to be hopping. All right, how about Montana State? They've got a bye, and they will wait the winner of the North Dakota Fighting Hawks get in out of the Missouri Valley, a record of 7-4, one of the least penalized teams in the country. They will head to Weber State, and head coach Jay Hill out of the Big Sky beat Northern Arizona yesterday. Weber Stadium in Ogden, Utah, going to be rocking coming up next week.
What I like about North Dakota, they don't hurt themselves. The least penalized team in all of FCS football. They're going to need to play a solid game because I had Weber State down as a team that could have been a potential top 8 national seed. So now the Fighting Hawks are going to go up to Utah anyway. And we talk about Weber State, their 2 losses that they had this season combined 8 points to 2 of the top-ranked teams in this tournament right now. Look out, Weber State is a team you got to watch out for. Jay Hill has a good bunch.
Well, you wonder if they were maybe on the cusp of getting a top 8.
Yeah.
With just how they performed this season. All right, time to unveil the rest of the bracket.
Finally.
All right, okay, Jay. Hey. Let's go on the bottom part. Waiting the aforementioned Bison. Southeast Missouri State won the coin flip. Ohio Valley Conference. They are 9-2, their 4th playoff appearance. Bring back Geno Hess, 6th in the FCS in rushing yards. They are going to Montana. The Grizz are in with a record of 7-4. Just gave up 55 yesterday, and now they get a home game today, Rini.
So this is a great matchup, and you can see ESPNU underneath it, hence why it's on linear TV. And Simo, get back to that coin flip. That coin was heavy. Did you hear that thing hit the ground? But my man, Geno Hess, best running back in the country, bar none, one of the best. I don't care, every division out there. Went for 317 yards and 4 touchdowns yesterday against Murray State. But as you said, got to travel to Montana. Bobby Houck's bunch play great defense up there. This is a whale of a first-round game.
I know there are some teams and coaches and players out there going, oh,
Uh-oh.
no. Oh, no.
Whose spot did they take?
Montana's
you
in.
know it, Matt.
You know who else is in? The Idaho Vandals. Head coach Jason Ector out of the Big Sky finished 7-4. Returned to the Big Sky just 4 years ago, their first winning season, get a playoff bid.
Yeah, they get an opportunity to get in. They're 6-2 in conference play, so that was a big thing for them. We kind of knew they would be there, but look who they're taking on.
Southeastern Louisiana, the Southland champs. That'll be at Strawberry Stadium in Hammond, Louisiana. That's their 3rd playoff bid in the last 4 seasons and their 5th overall.
And how about this? Give it up to the Southland Conference. They have 2 teams that have made it to the tournament. They're a conference on the rise. But when you talk about Southeast Louisiana and their head coach, Frank Scelfo, he knows that life was going to be tough after Cole Kelly left a season ago. They found a way to get it done, to get back into postseason play. That's a tough place to win a football game. Idaho better bring their A game.
The winner of that one heads to Siebert Stadium in Homewood, Alabama to take on the Samford Bulldogs. Moving on down, who's going to face Incarnate Word? It could be the Elon Phoenix out of the Colonial getting in. 8-3 record. Quarterback Matthew McKay with more than 20 touchdowns on the season. They will begin their trek on the road at Furman in Paladin Stadium, Greenville County, South Carolina. The Paladins out of the SoCon, 9-2, one of the best rushing offenses in the FCS. They can turn the ball over as well.
Yeah, another interesting matchup here. Now, Elon, talking about South Dakota State, they had a bye week last week as well. So although they're going to play a first-round game, they're going to be well-rested, Tony Trisciani's group. So that, I think, bodes well for them. And if my math's good as we're going, Elon's the 4th team out of the CAA in this tournament. And then Furman, as you talked about, out of the Southern Conference, head coach Clay Hendricks, they can run the ball, as you just said, Matt. They average over 220 yards a game. Running in this tournament and defense, to me, it bodes well in trying to get through it and win it all.
Furman with 14 interceptions on the defensive side as well. One of the best in the country. All right. Last couple of teams. Davidson got the AQ out of the Pioneer League. Head coach Scott Abel notching 8 wins this season. They get the bid. St. Thomas ineligible, won the league but ineligible, just its 2nd year in D1. So the Wildcats get their 3rd straight FCS appearance, and they are headed to Richmond. Just lost to William and Mary yesterday. But the Spiders out of the Colonial will host at Robbins Stadium.
Yeah, right now some people are saying, they're not even listening to the words I'm saying. There's some frustrated folks right now. But talking about this matchup, Richmond, the 5th team from the CAA to make it in there. Impressive run there. Scott Abel, the job that he's done with Davidson to go ahead and get the automatic qualifier to make it to the postseason. But this is that point where you're saying, there's some head scratchers out there. But congratulations to Coach Rich Huchman, what he did for the job down there. Fantastic season for the CAA to get 5 teams in. They were making a statement.
That says a lot. No more brackets to be shown. That's it.
Man,
it is populated, and there are some logos up there that you think, why are they up there? Why isn't my logo up there?
We are just the messengers.
We did not select.